Assalamu alaikum. I'm Irza, and today we're going to be talking about an exchange of sorts. A deal that people seem to strike where they're willing to sacrifice their lives in exchange for a brief moment of respite and relaxation. So, let's talk about smoking, cigarettes, vapes, and most importantly, nicotine. Now, it's pretty obvious that I'm here to rattle about how smoking is an issue, but there are a million other issues we could be dealing with. Why specifically smoking? What makes this a topic worthy of discourse? Well, taking a look at some statistics. According to data collected in 2024, one in every nine adults smokes in Pakistan. That's huge. And that's not even considering the unaccounted people or the amount of teenagers that smoke. What these numbers show is that smoking is a significant issue and will only grow unless action is taken. But to take action against a prevalent issue, one must first understand the root cause of the issue. Why? So, why do people smoke? Talking about the neurobiology of addiction, meet nicotine, the main culprit. It causes excessive release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter that makes you feel good and stimulates a smoker's brain into a false feeling of euphoria, of calm. It's not actual calm, but it's quick and it's easy. So now people are stressed and their dopamine and other neurotransmitters are low, they smoke and nicotine serves to comfort them. Falsely, but it's comfort nevertheless. And that's how addiction starts. And then, once you're addicted, to deliver the fatal blow, we have PAHs, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, and TSNAs, tobacco-specific nitrous amines. These, along with many more chemical agents present in a cigarette, proceed to damage your body from the inside out. So, what are their effects? A very common saying amongst people is, oh, I don't smoke, or oh, I'm not a smoker. I just have a cigarette occasionally, maybe once a week or month. Surely it doesn't matter, right? Well, it does. Does the act of putting the cigarette to your mouth and taking a singular puff causes a flurry of changes to occur in your body. In 10 seconds, nicotine enters the brain and toxins reach the blood. In 1 minute, heart rate increases and blood pressure spikes. In 30 minutes, lungs are affected and blood becomes thicker, and within an hour, nicotine levels fall and withdrawals start again. So the next time someone says, it's just one, remember that everything starts from just one. All aspects of a human body are affected by smoking, be it the mouth, where smoking causes discoloration, plaque accumulation, calculus, increased infections, and, more importantly, pre-malignant changes such as red and white patches and ulcerations. It affects the heart, where it causes a multitude of different cardiovascular issues, the lungs, and, especially relevant to modern society, physical appearances. In a media-dominated era where looks are especially relevant, a smoker can be told apart from their non-smoking peers just by the way they look. The act of putting the cigarette to your mouth and pursing your lips causes fine lines and wrinkles, not to mention the facial pigmentation, graying of hair, all signs of early aging caused by smoking. And it's not limited to just aging, it's death too. Smokers are known to die young. And speaking of death, now, here's the famous part. Don't smoke, it causes lung cancer. Every anti-smoking campaign ever talks about this. And yes, tobacco is the number one cause of lung cancer. But did you know it is also the number one cause of oral cancer? Less commonly known and often ignored, but pretty self-explanatory. The first part of the smoker's body that comes in contact with the cigarette is the mouth, and thus is often the first site of destruction. These were the impacts of smoking on a smoker. But smoking isn't limited to just the smoker. It affects everything around you, from friends and family to inanimate objects. All components of a smoker's environment face the deteriorating effects of the smoke. So remember, smoking isn't just a personal choice, it impacts society as a whole. One never smokes alone. Nowadays, most people acknowledge that smoking is harmful, but evil comes in many forms. And in the case of nicotine, It is vape. Vapes have taken the world by storm. They're marketed to the younger generations as an alternative to cigarettes. They not only have beautiful designs, but also come in a multitude of flavors. Remarkably attractive. But are they good for you? No. Both cigarette and vape contain nicotine, and we have talked about how nicotine causes addiction. They might look more aesthetic, but they're still deadly. Studies show inconclusive evidence regarding vaping as an alternative to smoking. Therefore, both should be avoided. So, in a nutshell, we talked about how smoking is a prevalent issue, why people smoke, and how it affects the teeth, heart, and eventually the lungs. But for every problem, there must be a solution. So, what can we do? What is the way forward? That boils down to three levels: personal, medical, and public health. At a personal level, creating a supportive, smoke free environment either for ourselves or for other smokers. At a medical level, smokers can seek professional nicotine replacement therapy. And finally, public healthcare policies must be implemented in a stricter fashion, especially against the newer trends such as vapes and nicotine pouches to combat their prevalence. That will be all from my side for today. Thank you so much.